Chapter 2. The spring semester had only just begun, and the campus was stirring with the slow rhythm of students easing back into their routines. For Declan, a senior in his final year at Dalhousie University, the days were already heavy with deadlines and research, though a part of him relished the familiar cadence of lectures, libraries, and long walks home. That afternoon, Halifax's air carried a chill sharpened by the sea breeze as he left his last class and let his feet carry him toward Spring Garden Road. A craving for coffee, half necessity, half comfort, guided his steps. He thought about how his professors had already piled on the reading lists and essay topics, and he felt the weight of the semester pressing in. Still, there was something freeing about leaving the lecture hall behind. The idea of stepping into a warm cafe, trading the cold gusts outside for the hiss of an espresso machine, pulled him forward. He adjusted the strap of his backpack and tucked his chin deeper into his coat collar, the promise of caffeine keeping him moving. The Glitter Bean Cafe, a small, lively spot painted with murals and humming with the low buzz of conversations, had become a haven for students and artists alike. Its windows, fogged faintly from the warmth inside, cast a welcoming glow into the gray afternoon. Declan had been here once or twice before with classmates, though it wasn't part of his usual routine. Today, however, it felt like the right place to pause, to escape the rush of campus just for a little while. He pushed open the door and a wave of warmth and sound washed over him. The scent of ground coffee beans, mixed with something sweet, like cinnamon, clung to the air. Indie music played softly from hidden speakers, the kind of playlist that made the world feel slowed down, even for just a moment. He inhaled deeply, letting the tension in his shoulders ease as the door closed behind him. Inside, the cafe was alive with warmth. The hiss of the espresso machine, the earthy aroma of freshly ground beans, and the sight of students hunched over laptops, scribbling in notebooks, or laughing quietly in pairs. A rainbow flag pinned proudly near the counter gave the space a feeling of inclusivity, a vibrant pocket of color and community in the middle of the city. Declan joined the short line, eyes drifting absently toward the chalkboard menu as he considered whether to order something strong enough to power through an evening of studying. His mind wandered back to assignments waiting for him in his apartment across the bridge, and he found himself sighing, already planning how much of his night would be spent buried in notes. He didn't notice who was ahead of him until fate gave him a messy introduction. A drink slipped, a cup tilted, and in a sudden flurry, coffee splashed across the floor and across Declan's sleeve. "Ah, I'm so sorry," a voice exclaimed, hurried and apologetic. Declan looked up and froze. Pink hair framed her face, catching the golden cafe light, and baby blue eyes widened with alarm. He knew that face, the same girl from the library. The same girl whose glance had lingered across the silence of the Killam Memorial Library only weeks ago. She crouched quickly, grabbing napkins from the counter and pressing them to the floor. Declan moved to help, crouching beside her, their hands brushing briefly as they reached for the same soggy napkin. The touch startled them both, pulling their eyes together for a fleeting second. "It's okay," Declan said, trying to reassure her with a small smile. "Really, no harm done." She laughed nervously, brushing a strand of pink hair behind her ear. "I promise I don't usually make people wear their coffee. Guess I was more focused on the counter than my cup." Declan chuckled, tugging lightly at the damp sleeve of his coat. "Then I guess it was inevitable. Fate just wanted to make sure we actually spoke this time." Her lips parted slightly at his words, recognition flickering in her eyes. "The library," she said softly. "I thought I'd seen you before." Declan nodded. "Yeah, the library. A pause lingered between them, not uncomfortable, but charged with something unspoken. Declan's pulse quickened as he realized this was his chance to bridge the silence that had started weeks ago. She stood, straightening her coat and balancing her bag. "I'm Azalea," she said finally, offering her name like an olive branch. Her voice was warm, steady, and it struck him how easily it suited her. Unique, memorable, just like the color of her hair. Declan rose as well, brushing his damp sleeve once more. "Declan." Her smile returned, brighter this time. "Well, Declan, it's nice to officially meet you, even if I've ruined your coat in the process." He shook his head, grinning faintly. "It's just a sleeve, but now I've got a good story out of it." For a moment they stood there, framed by the cafe's ambient chatter, two students caught in a quiet orbit. The world bustled around them, but Declan felt as though the noise had dulled, leaving only her voice. They moved aside to let others through the line, each hesitating as though unsure whether to part ways or continue the conversation. Declan cleared his throat. "Since you've already paid the price of coffee on my coat, maybe I should at least return the favor. Can I buy you another one?" Azalea tilted her head, considering. "Only if you let me buy yours next time. Fair trade." He laughed softly. "Deal." When their drinks were finally in hand, they found a small table near the window. The light filtered through the glass, casting a soft glow across her features as she tucked her sketchbook into her bag. Declan watched curiously, but didn't ask. He figured there would be time later for that. Their conversation started cautiously. Classes, professors, mutual gripes about early morning lectures, but quickly stretched into something more natural. Declan told her he was a senior, finishing up his last year before graduation. Azalea admitted she was a sophomore, still figuring things out but passionate about her art. "I sketch when I should probably be reading," she confessed, smiling wryly. Declan leaned forward slightly. "That doesn't sound like procrastination. That sounds like you know what you care about." Her eyes flickered, touched by the remark. She glanced down at her cup, then back at him. "You're not as serious as you look in the library." "Guess books don't show off my best side," he said. She laughed again, a sound that made something in his chest settle into place. When the conversation lulled, Azalea hesitated, then pulled her phone from her pocket. "Maybe we should exchange numbers, in case you ever need someone to rescue you from more spilled coffee." Declan smiled, sliding his phone across the table. "Only if you promise not to spill anything on it." Their fingers brushed again as they traded phones, typing in their names and numbers. When Azalea handed his back, her contact name glowed on the screen, adorned with a small flower emoji she'd added beside her name. He couldn't help the grin that spread across his face. "See, now you've got proof it happened," she teased. "Best accident of the semester," he said quietly. Eventually, they left the cafe together, stepping into the brisk Halifax evening. The sky had dimmed, painted with streaks of pink and violet as the sun sank beyond the harbor. Their paths diverged at the corner, but not before a final smile was exchanged, a promise that this meeting wasn't the last. Declan walked to the lot where his car waited, sliding into the familiar driver's seat of his Toyota Corolla. The engine hummed to life, headlights cutting through the dusk, as he crossed the Angus L. McDonald Bridge, city lights glittering around him. He glanced at his phone on the passenger seat. Azalea's name shone on the screen, a new thread in his life he hadn't expected to find. He tightened his grip on the steering wheel, the corners of his mouth lifting in an unshakable smile. Something told him that today was only the beginning.